Hey guys, it's Amber and I am getting ready to work on day 22. So it was work day. I didn't really have a specific story, but I did get a really cute photo of my kitty in front of the tree. I actually was having a really hard time deciding between two of them, so I honestly printed both. I was trying to figure out if the design could go on the left or the right based on which way he was facing, and I really loved all these twinkle lights, but it was like a little bit too much light, so I want to put this on here, and I was having a hard time seeing it. So I'm going to keep that cute photo for another time and put the Twinkle Star Magic here. I put it on some foam square cut up pieces to pop it up. And I was digging through my stash and I found this plaid paper from Heidi Swap's collection, and I thought it had a nice reflection of this little scarf he's wearing. I don't have any bigger pieces, but since I have two, I'm gonna put two together and trim off the excess to make an 11 1/8 inch piece of paper here. And the nice part is most of it's covered by a photo. So I will have a little bit left over here for the hole punching. And then what I'm gonna do is use these film strips here. So I have this set here from the December daily release, and I'm using the tealish blue and the red one from that. And then I was trying to decide, because I have some Studio Calico ones, I might use a black one here because the kitty's black to help pull that color around, or I was considering the holly to pull in the green, but it doesn't really have much teal in it, and the other colors aren't going to work. There's like a gray, it's not even really a good gray, it's more like a beige, a green that won't work, and like a polka dot. So I think I'm going to go with the black one. I have 6 extra little photos here that I printed and cut out. So I'm still just working on how I want to arrange things. So I think I'm going to put my 22 here. And I'm trying to use up all these teal-ish blue hearts because they're kind of hard to use elsewhere. So I'm thinking about putting that there to kind of create a visual triangle of blue. I have one of the nesting stars from this set here that's a nice teal blue with gold to help pull in that gold, and I'll try to put a gold star or something somewhere else. If I wasn't using that, I was considering this wood tree here, since I have the wood poinsettia. But for now, I'm thinking I like the star. I have this cut out from one of the 11 by 8 pieces that says around the tree. I've got 2 more of the hearts here and one of these woven strips that says December Memories. So I'll probably stitch that on, and I'm thinking about stitching around the photo as well. And then I have this from the die cut set here, which is the same pattern, so I thought that would be a good use of the product. It's not the same color here, but I'm thinking about using that to hold this. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows that will have a little bit of a see-through element. And so what I think I'm going to do is mount all of these onto a piece of clear acetate. I'm debating if I'm going to stitch or not. Going through 2 pieces of acetate might be a little hard on the sewing machine, so I'm not sure that I necessarily will need to. And so then I'm just trying to decide if I'm going to use score tape to hold all this together, or how exactly I plan to mount that down. So pretty much feeling like I am just about done. I just have some embellishing and some little decisions to make. And I'm debating also if I want to put this down on my background and then stitch only the photo, or if I want to stitch all of this together and then put it on the background, because it'll make it a little bit more stable and it'll be easier to stitch the photo and the paper together. So I'm just trying to figure that out. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how this is coming out. I love this tealy blue color that I've got going on, and I've kind of just been playing with product to figure out where I want it to go, but I think I like how it is set up now. So I think I'm going to start on this first and figure out what I'd really like to do is just overlap them a little bit and then cut off the rest so I have more of the paper left over, if that makes sense. So it would be 11 1/8. I'm thinking maybe of matching up my plaids right here so that it looks even all the way across, and then I would just cut it. So let me see, otherwise I would have like this big gap here in the middle. It's like right there might make sense too, that way these are the same. So what I'm going to do is put some adhesive right here. Yeah, I'm liking that option, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to pause you, and then we'll move you to fast forward as I get all this work done. Okay guys, so I'm starting with creating my background paper there. I'm using my 1/2 inch score tape to hold these two together. And this is going to be like 14.5 inches wide or something like that, maybe almost 15. So I'm trimming it down to, and it's probably 14. So I'm trimming it down to over what I need so that I can trim it down more. I didn't want to take a chance on having it not be exactly right, because the background papers from Allie's kit are really 11 1/8. A lot of them have been getting trimmed down to 11 because my photo paper that I've been printing on is 8.5 by 11. But I digress. So I created it, I think 11.5, so I had room to trim. I'm putting a little bit of 1/4 inch score tape in the corners there just to hold it down really securely, because I was still going back and forth in my mind on if I was definitely going to stitch or not. I ended up doing so, and I'm really glad I did. But at the time, I wasn't 100% sure. So I had already put all my strips of foam adhesive on there, and I really love how those look popped up. They look really, really cool. So next, I'm going to cut a sheet that I have that is 12 by 12 down to just 8 1/4 tall. I was just confirming that the transparency piece there was really 8 1/4. I don't know how long it's going to be yet because I still have to adhere all these down next to each other, and I didn't want to try to worry about figuring out measurements. I have to adhere it all down and just trim anyway. So that was the easiest solution. So I peeled all the backings off of those film strips, and my first step is going to be to add the photos. Now you'll notice on the right when I cut these out, I printed them at 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 square, but I cut them out and left myself room to be able to adhere them down. I didn't really measure or anything, I just kind of eyeballed it up. There was 1 or 2 that I had to trim just slightly so it wouldn't stick over the frame. But I just added the adhesive to the back and then put the photo down, and really, really happy with how they came out. While I was laying everything out, it was kind of hard to visualize because the photo white edges were like covering all the frames, but once it's on there, it looks so nice and clean. So I'm just using my 1/8 inch score tape for this just to keep it nice and thin. And I don't really notice the adhesive showing through the film strips. I do notice where the photos have those white squares just because it's brighter and has more pop. But overall, when you're flipping through an album really quickly, you're not really going to notice. So I'm just doing the same thing for all 3 of these here. And also that little pattern paper die cut as well. So that they're all framed out really nicely. So you see that that's attached there. Sorry, I was waiting for my video to catch up, and it's going to be ready to go. So when I go to attach all of these transparencies down, I still wasn't sure if I was going to stitch or not. I did not. I'm glad I did not. I honestly think trying to go through multiple layers of transparency like that would have been hard. But what I did is I found the wrong side of this 3x8 red transparency, and I'm adding 1/8 inch score tape between the holes and the edge. I love keeping it around because it fits perfectly there. So I'm going to add that to the edge, and then I'm going to, and here's where I kind of would have made it easier on myself if I would have just used 1/8 inch tape on the back of everything in advance, but I was trying to save it because I'm getting low on it. And I was like, oh, I'll just use 1/4 inch tape and connect, you know, the edges of both together, which was fine, except you were trying to get everything with adhesive underneath it as it was already being attached. It was kind of a pain in the butt. So next time I'll just do it and sacrifice on the adhesive and try to order more. Another thing to note, that if you put adhesive on these and then try to lift them up, the color will be removed and it will stay on your adhesive. So you can't really move it. You kind of have to put it back down in the same position. It's not noticeable, but it does happen, which was a bummer. That blue one I tried to adjust because it was sitting up a little high. And I started to trim it off, but it has like gray lines going all around the outside and I didn't want it to look uneven. So it's not off by that much. I just let it go. So just getting all of these attached down. And I wish I could remember whose idea this was to put this on clear transparency, but it's a great idea to have the windows and then you can use whatever kind of embellishment you want without worrying how it will fit on there. So just finishing up with this second and third strip there where you can see, you know, that I'm putting that 1/4 inch between the edges. And like I said, I felt like the score tape was a good choice. Red line tape sometimes really shows through transparencies, even though it is clear. It has like a yellowish hinge. The score tape has like a cloudy, clear hint to it, so it's not too bad. So now I'm getting ready to just put down all the embellishments. I had made all my choices in advance of starting the video, so luckily you didn't have to sit through too much of that. So I'm just mostly using a variety of different adhesives to attach everything down. The around the tree die cut, I decided to stay flat, but everything else either already is dimensional or I decided to pop up, just to add some variety. So whenever I have wood veneer, I always like to use red line tape. I feel like that one always works the best. I really love that little poinsettia from the wooden collection. And I did consider doing some stamped poinsettias along that big 3x8 transparency, but I'm really glad that I held back and scaled down with just the blue hearts. I think it's really sweet. And it was a good chance to use up the product that I had in those colors. And so I'm going to add my numbers down, and I think off camera I'm going to add some blue stickers before I realized I needed to start filming again. So I added a handful of blue stars, added these gold puffy stars, which you're going to see, and I did all my stitching off camera as well because I was filming at like midnight last night and I was just trying to get it done so I could go to bed. I was too excited to stop. So just scattering some of these puffy stars around. Really love those this year, and I'll show you a live look in a moment. Okay guys, so I am all done with this layout. I love it. This might be, if not my favorite, like one of my 2 or 3 top favorite layouts from this whole album. It just came out so well. I love the balance of color. I love this teal blue with this pop of red. I love it. It's a throwback to my day 3 page where I had another kitty picture. I kind of did that intentionally. I even kept the dimensions of the photo the same. I love the pop-up of the glitter chipboard, I think it is, and then I even dotted the eye with a little star and then added a few more little gold stars and just left it simple and letting the photo speak for itself. I did do the stitching around it. I did that off camera just because it was really late while I was working on it last night. And then I also did a teeny little row of stitching on here as well, and I just love this. I had envisioned doing something like this when I saw these photo strips. And I even picked up extras of ones from Studio Calico, knowing I might use them in this year's December daily. So I'm just really happy with this. I love the trio of blue hearts helping to draw your eye around the page. And I'm glad I used them up because I feel like it would have been harder to use somewhere else in the album, except for potentially like Caribbean kind of photos on my upcoming trip that'll be starting on the 24th. I added a few little gold stars here, one here, and I didn't want to have 3 identical, but I layered a flat sticker here that was from the star kit, and these are from the star kit as well. So I layered those 2 together to add a little bit of interest to the number, and then a little sticker down inside of that. I was going to leave it completely hollow, but I like how that is going to be. The back of this is really fairly clean for what it is, so I'm anticipating that I will be reversing this and putting something else on the back here. I'm anticipating it will probably be with this holly paper. I'll probably put another heart on the back of here. I did pop these two, actually all three of them up with foam squares or foam strips, whatever. But the other ones will probably lay flat so it doesn't get too thick. But man, oh man, I'm in love with it. I think it was all the photo too. And I'm happy that I went with that photo, even though I really loved this one as well. I have it down here small, but I'll just save this for Project Life because it's stinking adorable. So one thing I forgot to mention that I had briefly considered was I was considering cutting this into one of these frames here using my scrap of paper. And I really did think about it, but I thought it might not look as clean as using a already created product. So I'll just leave this for my stash, or even potentially use it on the back. But yeah, I figured I better stick with the pre-made product since I already had that. So thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder that if you're not subscribed, if you do so, you'll be automatically notified when I post new content, and let me know what you think. Thanks so much.